Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 22 of Mushoku Tensei, Parents. I am a light novel reader who's read everything and is a big fan of everything, and I'm here joined by Kyle Entertainment, who has only ever seen the anime.
Jarkey Bacon. Oh, wait, no, we aren't.
Yep,
We
he's not
killed
here.
him. We got rid of him. He's gone again. Back to the dynamic duo here. Fuck Jarkey Bacon. You know what we're saying. It'd be really cool if he joined right now, EliteAri, but you know,
Yeah.
we haven't planned that far ahead. My other funny bit was I was going to be crying while you were introducing me, EliteAri. Like,
Oh, wow.
that would be funny, huh?
Yes, very funny, Kyle. I'm sure everyone would love that. Well, I guess, okay, we have... Okay,
this one.
Kyle, this is obviously, I'm sure you can tell, this is a very important episode, one that everyone was looking forward to. I'm scared to ask, but what do you think, Kyle? What do you think about this important episode?
Well, EliteAri, just now I was brainstorming how to take you on a little journey, but I thought the episode was very good, EliteAri.
Really? Oh my god, okay.
Maybe I'm taking you on a journey now.
Yeah, I'm very surprised, because one thing I saw was your tweet where you were just making fun of everyone for, you know...
Oh yeah, what was my tweet again? Hold on, I'm gonna get it up.
Yeah, Kyle made a very funny tweet.
Everybody, I called it, and Zenith got casket, and I called it, so I'm very happy, young man. Mushoku Tensei made me cry! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! What a great episode! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Split me in two! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! Exclamation mark! JK, this is a joke mid-series. So I didn't cry, EliteAri, but I thought it would be funny to tease like I did, and then come here and be like, haha, no, I didn't.
Yeah,
but
it worked on me. I thought you were gonna say that you hated it, but yeah, I'm glad I don't have to fight an uphill battle here. Okay, well. Firstly, before I guess I'll give my thoughts, but firstly, I was shocked that you figured out or predicted the Zenith thing. I don't know how you pieced that together. I don't even know. You just one time you were like, "Oh yeah, she'll probably be like Casca." I'm like, "What?" Okay, I couldn't say anything, but somehow you predicted.
First of all, it's a little ambiguous at the end of EliteAri. You spoiler little whore.
Well, I think.
Second of all,
yeah, you'll see. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I was just freaking out because I could have been right, but then the comments kind of made it. The Crunchyroll comments made it pretty... Oh, EliteAri, it would have been fantastic if I checked the Crunchyroll comments before, but I didn't, so I wasn't spoiled, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, I'm glad, yeah.
The, first
I
of all,
guess, wait.
Because me and Bacon went back and forth a million times on whether or not Paul would die, and I'm pretty sure last time I said he wouldn't, so I was actually right, though, so shut your mouth. You didn't correct me. You lost your opportunity. I was right. Now, what was I talking about before that? Oh, the Zenith thing. How the fuck did I figure that out? I was probably just thinking, you know, I've only ever seen one other series in my life. It's called Berserk, so it's probably going to be the same. Yep. Why the fuck did I think that?
Who knows? It just intuitively came to you because you have such a good understanding.
I feel like I did have a reason. Because I have the feeling of forgetting something right now.
Anyway, but people, it's not exactly the same as Casca, right? So there's going to be some differences. Maybe it'll be different to what you're expecting. Don't worry. But we'll see.
Zenith's never coming back. Uh-oh.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, okay, crazy. And the Paul thing, you know what? I haven't been able to say anything up until this point because it's actually dead. Now I can finally say it. I think this is probably the most telegraphed thing that Mushoku Tensei will ever do. I think I think everyone who was watching this and everyone who was reading this probably knew that Paul was going to die. It would have been a bigger subversion if Paul just like managed to survive, I guess. Because like everything is pointing towards him dying, right? Like the character arc is ending, all the dialogue is like hinting toward his death. Rudy's like in another stage of his life now. Like everything kind of feels like it's pointing towards Paul's story being done here. But I think, go ahead, yeah.
I was starting to think, because the telegraphing death flag memes was like, oh, I thought it was so obvious that it had to be not doing it.
Yeah.
There was also the family like fantasy scene that really set it up of like,
sure, yeah.
Obviously, this is where we're going, and it could be happy or it could be sad, and it leads you either way. Fuck, there was like a point in the episode where I realized, like, oh yeah, because first of all, he says the line in this one from your thumbnail, right?
Yeah, save.
Or was that last episode?
No, that was
okay. So that was part of it where I was like, oh well, that could have been from a whole different thing, but probably not. Like I was thinking that going in, but then hearing it here. No. Fuck, there was one other Paul moment where I was like, he really has done everything now. Oh, and I was like, oh, him dying now would definitely lead a lot of people into thinking like, oh, what a redemption arc, because that's like the thing people say about Paul. I don't know if you said
Really?
it or if I just got it from comments where it's like, oh, yeah, Paul's the worst, but he sure does try to get his family back
Oh,
together.
sure. Yeah.
And you got to admire that.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, him dying would definitely like if you had that context reflecting on Paul, you would probably be more charitable or think of him better. I'm trying to say something here, EliteAri, but anyway.
I guess in response to that, I would say that that's interesting. I can see why after the teleportation incident where he's like changed his basically whole mission and is just trying to bring his family together, I can see why that would kind of make people think Paul is a better person. His death, I don't think is redemptive that much at all, besides the fact that he saved Rudius, but I feel like that's the thing that we would have expected him to do anyway.
Well, I don't think it's like a moral thing. I think it's more emotional, of like, oh man, and then he died, and I was sad that he died, so Paul's not so bad, so don't make fun of Paul.
I could understand that, sure. I would say, if anything, his death is probably portrayed in a negative light. I guess we'll see. We're obviously not done with dealing with Paul's death here. We'll see where it goes. I don't want to say too much, but I don't know. It's interesting. Oh my god, someone has joined us. Crazy.
Whoa!
Jarkey Bacon, we were right. She did get casted.
Bacon's right.
No, that was my prediction.
Oh yeah, we're predictive gods, Carl. What can I say?
We are.
Incredible.
Jesus, Bacon.
Anyway.
So what brings you here, Bacon?
I just had to tell everybody because I watched it last night. I was like, I'm the best. I'm the greatest. And episode good, animation crazy.
Excellent. Yeah.
What else?
Bacon, EliteAri just spent the last like 5 minutes saying that it was super obvious and we all should have seen Paul's death coming. So then you just popped in and said you were really smart for it. So you need that context. Now attack EliteAri.
Well, okay. What can I say? They try to pull one over us by saying, "Oh, he's not going to die because I've like lampshaded it." And you know what?
That's what I said. True.
Kyle was getting cold feet, Kyle. That's what
he did waver at the last minute. That is true.
Yeah, exactly. And easiest prediction of my life. What can I say? Oh, I got spoiled because what was it? There's an anime r/anime thread. It says I hate Mushoku Tensei. It's really bad. I was like, oh, I want to look at this. Maybe it's like complaining about the morality things. And it says I can't believe they aired that episode on Father's Day. And I was like, oh,
yeah, that's like the joke every idiot's making. It's annoying.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
hope you episode, Bacon.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Right,
yeah, of course it was good. Even though
I'm glad.
Almost it was because it was spoiled. I was more interested in it because I was like, it kind of gave like a sense of like, because I'm a Paul fan. It gave me like a bit of a pit when I was like, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? Yeah. And of course, it happened in a cool way where it's like Rudy's fault for it. Or at least the way that he can blame himself. And then it was those were the cool bits. Like, oh, I actually don't care about my mom. That's cool. And okay, and one complaint, he was like, oh, the hydra from Heracles, when he like burned off his head. And I was like, well, you know what, the hydra spawned back 2 heads at once. I can't believe they didn't do that. It's so bad. Like, if like his logical, I was like, is he gonna talk about the fight? And he talked about the fight and then he referenced real world stuff. I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting, but it's not a consistent portrayal. So it was still a gamble, Mr. Rudy, but hey ho, you know what, well done. And now I leave you guys with Kyle Entertainment and EliteAri. Thank you.
Thank you, Bacon. Okay.
Look at that. The fan service. He had to get it in.
Yep.
Everybody was lusting after Bacon's opinion and he just showed up. I don't know where he was. He could be at work. There's no way he's talking to us at work, huh? Who knows what he's doing? Yep.
All right. Well, I guess my overall thoughts, which I haven't given yet. Okay, actually, firstly, I guess I'll say that this has universally been received as a very positive episode. I've seen basically...
EliteAri's gonna get grumpy.
I've seen basically everyone... I don't think I've seen anyone saying that they didn't like this episode. I've seen very little people say it's not the best episode of the series. I've seen a lot of people say it's like better than Turning Point 2. This is like the pinnacle of the series, the best thing that's ever done. I guess I would say I think this is a really good episode. I don't even think it's the best of the season. I think the best one of the season is still the Norn episode. But I think this is a great climactic episode. Everything, I enjoyed almost all of it. It's great. I don't think it's the best of the series. I think still has Turning Point 2. I don't think anything will ever top that, especially with how the production has, gone a bit downhill since season 1. But I think it's great. A lot of great stuff. It obviously, it didn't hit me as much as the novel did, but I think that's probably more about me not knowing how they're going to adapt it. Now that I've seen it, maybe in the future on rewatches, it'll get me more emotionally, but I was more on the edge of my seat. I'm like, are they going to adapt everything I like about it? Oh my God, are they going to miss the small details? And they didn't. They mostly got everything I wanted. But yeah.
EliteAri, I've just realized we're about to have the exact opposite conversation in a few hours. It's going to be sick. But,
oh boy. Yep.
Oh, fuck, something. Why did I have to do a dumb House of the Dragon tease when I had something to say and now I forgot it, EliteAri? You were saying something about Paul and it not being that good. I
don't know, details.
Was I just going to say Paul's only supposed to have 2 kids or something? Because I was
Turning Point 2, true. Yeah.
Nah, something like that, Obviously. Oh, I guess I'll say this now, EliteAri. I was going to say, obviously it's not better than the dogfight, but it had the exact same feel as the dogfight, EliteAri. Anybody could die except for Rudy, of course, in this thingy. And when he picked up fucking Tallyhan, EliteAri, I was like, no, don't kill the fat dude. He's going to die, EliteAri. He's totally going to fucking die. Yep. And then Paul cut him down or something. I was like, oh my God. I will say, now there's a few similar elements here, EliteAri. But we're both big fans of the great Attack on Titan series. I will say I was getting season 1 Attack on Titan vibes here. There's a thing we're cutting its head off kind of around the neck and we're zooming around like we're Paul and it's coming at us really fast and you're not going to see it coming and people are going to die and it feels like people could die.
Yep.
And I don't know, I was getting some Attack on Titan vibes around here and I felt it too, man. Any of these idiots could have died. Well, Roxy's not going to die because her and Rudy got a kiss. Rudy's not going to die because he's not dead yet. And Geese could definitely fucking die, but we kind of already had that moment in the dogfight, so I was pretty confident. That Tallyhan, EliteAri, he was fucking dead. I knew it, but he didn't. And then Paul, obviously, he was could get die. EliteAri did get hit a few times, and it had me on edge a little bit, but I was pretty confident she wouldn't die. But then at some point, I did say that she might die, and then he's got to go back to Cliff. So there was some tension there too. That's the party, isn't it? Am I forgetting anybody?
Nope, that's it. Crazy stuff.
A little on edge. It was a little fun, EliteAri. It was just like the dogfight. Maybe better than the dogfight.
Oh, wow. You could reference this in the future. That'd be crazy.
It's no, maybe. It's no Paul only has 2 kids, though.
True. Yeah, that is the highlight of the series.
There is a moment like that in the episode slightly, which is what Bacon already brought up about that Hydra thing, and they were teasing how something in the real world influenced the thing here. Is this actually a video game we're in, EliteAri, and that's why it's influenced by the real world? I don't fucking know.
That would be
crazy. It just a fantasy world somebody thought up? It would be funny if it was a video game that did exist, and which is very possible. The protagonist just never interacted with it in his whole entire life and was completely unaware of it. That's possible. I don't know if I go on that literal. But it's interesting. There's skyscrapers in that one city or something. There's something going on with this fucking world, EliteAri.
Yep.
There's fucking skyscrapers, bro. Anyway, I guess we got to go through chronologically.
Yeah, I guess I do have technically in my overall thoughts. I have the good and the bad, which I could go over. But then I don't know. Maybe we'll spoil some stuff we're going to talk about later. I don't know. Wait, let's see. I guess in terms of just the overall structure of the episode, there's the before, there's the build up stuff. Then there's they go through the teleporter and they have a first initial fight, and then they leave and they have a little talk again, and then they go in and they have the big fight, which spans a lot of the time of the episode, and then afterwards is all the wrap up stuff. I think of all of these, I really like everything before the fights. I like everything after the fight. The fight itself, I think, is probably the weakest part of the episode. Maybe because just visually to me, it was obviously the best that shows looked this season. There was a bad CGI dragon for a few shots. I don't even think the CGI of the dragon bothers me. I think it's just the same thing that happened in Attack on Titan retrospective, where there's so much movement going on, but the movement feels very jagged, and it feels like it's, I don't know if it's what the technical term is or whatever, but it feels like you're missing in-betweens, or whatever people say, where it's Paul is moving around a lot, but I can't see him a lot of the time. It's just he's jumping around from place to place. I don't know, that bothered me a little bit. But there was some also really cool shots that I haven't seen beyond in anything else this season. Really small things, when there's, I think it's Tallyhan and maybe Roxy, where they're running for 5 seconds or something, and it's really cool. You're holding on that shot for a long time. There's a shot of Geese where he throws the smoke bombs. Yeah. There's a few really small cool shots like that throughout, which make this episode way better than I think it would have been otherwise in terms of the visuals of it. So yeah, and also just everything after the fight is done, even Rudy looking at Paul and the background shot of the dragon on fire, and just everything afterwards looks fantastic. So yeah, I don't know. We'll get to all the other details and stuff, but generally overall thoughts in terms of how it looks and stuff.
So yeah, I thought Paul looked fine. I didn't think anything of that. I noticed a bad CGI dragon for like 2 shots, and that's it.
That's great. I'm glad to hear. Anyway, okay.
Oh my God, can we talk about the opening again and how good it is and how even the visuals are really good? Because every time I'm like, what the fuck can these morons not like about this goddamn great introduction sequence we got here? The fact that it exists. Now, that's a good point, EliteAri. You remember when we were getting little montages or whatever?
That's true.
But it's here now, EliteAri, and it looks good.
I do have to say,
it sounds good.
Of all the episodes this season, when the opening happened this time, I liked it. I was really invested. I was like, this is the one episode you should play this opening for. It got me excited for the fight. It got me excited with the end, with the fist bump, which I've been talking about this whole season, where I'm like, I was talking about how Paul sees him as an equal, and they're like fist bumping at the same time. And like, this is so great. It really builds up the episode really well. So yes, this one episode of the whole season, I did like the opening.
Shut up, EliteAri, you fucking compromising little bitch.
No, it was
also, EliteAri, another thing I remember I predicted, the dragon didn't talk. I was wondering if it was going to talk. It didn't talk.
Yeah.
It's not a dragon, EliteAri, it's
true.
a hydra.
Yep, it is a blue hydra thing, which was in the opening. Yeah,
it was.
All right. Anyway, so
EliteAri, I also like, because the episode's playing, I also like how they the stone cannon is not allowed because it should just beat him in one shot or whatever, but because they got the magic stuff, magic don't work.
Yeah, that magic thing takes out almost 3 of their fighters, right? Like Talahan, Roxy.
Oh my God, EliteAri, there's another cool thing here. I know I'm ruining your whole thing because you're going to talk about all this in a second, and I paused the episode, so this will be the last one, EliteAri. A great little visual thing, and I think there is a Naruto power that's like this, because every good thing in action and anime is derived from Naruto. Whenever Rudy sees like a few seconds in the future, it usually doesn't tell you anything, but it is really cool, and it's like, oh, this is gonna happen, and then it's like going fast, and it's like, oh my God, what if it's too fast for him to react to? It doesn't slow down time; it just lets him see a few times. Oh my God! And I feel like a lot of the power in this episode is the Attack on Titan thing, of especially the Titans early on would be so fast, and because people were just dying constantly, it felt like suffocating, and it was like, oh, this happens, and then like Levi would start dodging, and you'd still be shitting yourself, EliteAri, because this fucking idiot's gonna
like
get
one
hit
from the dragon and you're done, right? Or the hydra.
Yes, and then eventually he did get hit. Oh my God! Yep. Oh my God!
Crazy. Yep, it is the interesting aspect of this fight, I guess, in terms of like how it was described in the light novel to here. It's pretty well adapted. The only thing is like you even kind of get this in the first confrontation, because they rush in immediately, they fight, and then afterwards in the light novel they describe how there's like a giant gash in Elite's side, and you're like, oh my God, is she gonna die or something? But no, Rudy heals it immediately, and it's like all she got hit was by like one tiny, she got like scratched by a scale or something, and it did that much damage.
Yeah, already. It wasn't very big. The healing stuff is interesting because Rudy has to do the silly chant, which he usually doesn't have to do. So that's a little cool.
Yep. Crazy. Anyway.
Now that's because he's bad at healing, right?
True. He can do almost everything else voiceless, but for healing and a few other minor exceptions, he.
Do you think this is for a dramatic thing, or maybe it was supposed to be this episode where he's trying to heal somebody and he's because he'll have to be saying something and it'll make it more dramatic when they're fucking dying, bro? That's probably why, huh?
Who knows? Maybe. Or maybe it's like I don't know. I can't say anything. Who knows? Maybe. All right. Well, they prepare. They prepare to enter the teleportation circle. That's how the episode opens. So Geese suggests, he's like to Paul, Paul, are we going to go in or are we going to recover? Are we going to go back to the inn and recover, recuperate before we go in? And Paul's like, nope, we're going in. And then Roxy, she's offering some healing scrolls to Rudy. I don't know if they've ever explained that, but like the scrolls in this world, basically magic that's been like, I don't know how they do it, but kind of like the teleportation stuff that Nanohosh is doing, where it's like it have like a scroll, then if you apply matter to it, you can kind of get the effect of the magic without having to chant the spell. So it's like a quicker way to do things. So they had like a few like healing.
It's like in Naruto, bro, when you have a little scroll contract and you just bite into your thumb like Attack on Titan, you put a little blood on it, and then you go boom, and then you get like a massive toad that you can fight with. Yeah, it's pretty.
Perhaps, yes.
Bro. It's a scroll.
Yep.
They got scrolls in Naruto, EliteAri.
That's crazy. They also have it in video games. That's really crazy.
No.
Some they do. Okay, before they enter the room, Paul is about to say something to Rudy, but then Rudy tells him not to. He says, I hate to say this, but given the situation we're in, ... And we never find out what he was going to say. Crazy. We have no idea. What do you think he was going to say, Kyle? Any thoughts?
I thought it was just make sure you save her no matter what thing that we got later. But apparently it's ominous, and we'll never know. Except we're probably going to find out somehow.
I think I can say here confidently, I don't think we ever find out. But maybe they'll clarify or something. But yeah, I guess it could be the save her thing. I don't think so. I feel like it's possible, but I feel like it's more of it because the way he says it is kind of like, this is a bad time to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, which kind of feels like he was maybe going to say a happy thing, where he's like, I don't want to say a happy thing now that we're at our like we have to be the most, we don't want to be too overconfident or something. It feels like he was going to say something like, oh, I love you, or some like positive thing, or I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe. It could just be the Roxy thing since they teased that last episode.
No, that's no way.
But that's not in the light novel, so. I mean, they literally did the same scene last episode, right?
No, the stuff with Roxy is in the light novel. Like even Paul implying that he's going to say something there, but the whole like two sword thing is definitely not in the light novel. Anyway, enough of that. We don't care about the light novel here. We're here for the anime, okay? Except for when I bring up the light novel. They enter teleportation circle, and it takes them to the first fight with the Hydra. So they teleport into this giant room with a Hydra. It's not a dragon. Crazy. And Paul basically immediately charges in without thinking, and they try to fight the Hydra, but it nullifies magic, and Paul refuses to stop, so Geese and EliteAri have to bring him back. And this is so cool, Kyle, when there's the one shot of Geese and he throws the smoke bombs, and it's like, wow, Geese is getting some action animation here. I can't believe this, because Geese doesn't really fight that much.
Yeah, smoke bombs and
then EliteAri like slaps him on the face, and that's what brings him back, and it was fantastic. I really liked the interactions of their old party this episode, which I guess we'll talk about in this regrouping scene afterwards. But it's the small things like that, like EliteAri is slapping Paul, or even just the even smaller thing of like when Paul charges in and he's not stopping when they tell him to come back. Just the small thing of like, I think it's Talahand who's like, Geese, and then Geese is like, yeah, I know. It's like they don't have to say what to do in this situation, like because they've been through this before, obviously. Like Paul has charged into things in the past, and when they're in the old partying days, and all Talahand has to say is like Geese, and Geese will know how to take care of it. Small things like that build up this group as like a group who's clearly worked on things together before. I like that a lot. Yeah. Anyway. First fight, they leave. Kind of interesting. Did you think it was going to be over then, Kyle? You're like, oh, I guess that's the fight. I guess we'll...
No, I was scared initially when they're like, maybe we should retreat. But then they've done the retreat thing and go back in the same episode before,
Mm-hmm. All right, well...
And also, it's called Parents, bro.
True, it is. An apt title for this episode. So, they regroup outside the room. And Rudy heals EliteAri, who has a gash in her shoulder. And Paul is... He's lost all composure here. He's unsettled completely, basically, which is interesting because it kind of implies that up until this point he had been like this, but now he's kind of letting it all out because he's seen Zenith and he can't really compose himself here, which is, I like that. It's really interesting. Rudy tells him...
Do we ever... Yeah, maybe we'll find out in the future. Why does this idiot care about Zenith so much?
I mean, why does anyone care about anyone? That would be the answer, right? Like, why does Roxy
Well, even
care
back
about
then,
Rudy
they're like, you haven't been like this since Zenith showed up.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like,
it's just in love. I think that's all it is. I guess we can see
Paul doesn't strike me as a lover leader. He says he's gonna fuck him and then leave him.
Well, it's kind of interesting then. I guess it's, to me, maybe there will be stuff later. But it does say a little bit about how much he loves her, I guess, if he did decide to, change his life to be with Zenith. Monogamous relationship, kind of interesting. I don't know. I think he just really loves her.
Didn't turn out very monogamous.
That is true, but that was, it was crazy. Anyway,
sure was.
Paul's unsettled, and Rudy tells him to calm down and asks if he thinks Zenith is alive, and Paul gets mad. What difference does it make if she's alive? How can you be so calm? And then in response to that, Rudy says...
EliteAri?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
This is just a funny, I'm not really a little boy. I'm actually an isekai man. But in a good way, EliteAri. Calm down. I know you just clenched your fist and muted and smashed your keyboard. I know you did it, EliteAri. Now, because it's not his real mommy. That's why. But it's interesting that Paul he's sort of identified this disconnect. Obviously, he doesn't know why.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because this has happened before when obviously the original fight or something was because Rudy wasn't acting like a kid, and then he had to school Paul or whatever when he was a little boy, and EliteAri made a video about it. And then later, when he shows up with Eris and he's trying to protect Eris instead of his family, and Paul's like, "Why ain't you like a normal little boy, idiot?"
Yep. Yeah, I guess
it's
this
continuous EliteAri.
Yeah, this scene, like in that video, I talked about how the two first fights are parallel. This is obviously the, what do you call it? The climax, the finale, the final part of that like 3-act kind of paralleling thing, which I haven't mentioned this at all in the video. But yeah, this is clearly like it's a parallel to that. I don't know if there's much to say beyond saying the dynamic is different. I'm sure this would probably be the example of Rudy maturing, I guess. Because at the conclusion of the second fight, the conclusion to me is that Rudy, although Paul has developed here, Rudy is the one who's stagnated and he hasn't developed at all because he's still just not really caring about what's going on. He's kind of still he's treating his old life as like more important, and his old identity is more important than kind of the people around him now. And I guess at this point now, it kind of does feel like he's being a lot more, I don't know, considerate and careful of the people around him here. I don't know. It's interesting. I haven't really thought too much about it.
Well,
but
he probably
likes
parallel. Paul more now than he ever has, right?
Kind of, because he's in a different stage of his life, getting married and having a kid and everything, and it kind of feels like he can probably relate to Paul more a lot. Like because he was probably he's still younger than Paul was when he had him, but he's still probably in the similar stage of life, so he can kind of empathize with what Paul was doing when he first was born, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. You can make a good video about this, Kyle, if you wanted.
So, yeah, hold on. I've been ignoring all this boring character shit. Rudy and Paul are lame. We don't care about them. Now, what I care about is Paul's only supposed to have 2 kids. And it just sprung into my mind. A few things, actually. This sprung into my mind a few minutes ago. I was like, so I'm assuming, and I had assumed until this point, that Rudy was the kid that's not supposed to happen, and Lilia and Norn were always in the original timeline or whatever we're going with.
Lilia and Aisha. I mean, Norn and Aisha, yeah.
Yeah, what did I say?
Lilia and Norn.
Well, we're getting to Lilia. That's why I confused EliteAri.
All right.
So why would they need Lilia as a maid if they didn't have a kid? Now, actually, they probably had her as a maid before Rudy was born. But did they only get her as a maid anticipating that they would have the kid? I don't know if this is an answer or if I'm just thinking about it too much, EliteAri. So that's first of all. And then it could be like, like the way Rudy has affected things could be that it was only supposed to be Rudy and Norn, but Rudy without like Rudy as an actual kid, not the isekai boy in his brain. And therefore, like, because the spur of events of Rudius existing would lead to Lilia being annoyed or something, which would lead to the seduction that would lead to Aisha being born. It's probably that the twins are the only ones that are supposed to exist. But then whoever has done this has, whether it's the man god or somebody above him or whatever, has, like, why would Zenith and Paul not have a kid for like 5 years or whatever? I don't know. I don't remember how old Rudy is when the other ones are conceived.
Mm-hmm. I think it's around 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah, I'm a genius. But I don't know. The fact that it could be like a Rudy that is normal and Norn is like actually more interesting if we ever like even see like a glimpse of the old like what it was supposed to be like or whatever. Oh my god, EliteAri, the episode's playing. It's one of those shots where Talahan and Roxy are running in the foreground and they were fighting the hydra in the background. This is the coolest episode of all time.
Yep.
Anyway, I think I finished my point, EliteAri. Obviously, you can't say shit because you're a little pussy.
I think it's a very interesting point. Like, what would this world be like if Rudius wasn't born? What is the?
It is like yeah. Don't say what if, like, we're not going to get answers to it, you little idiot. Mm-hmm. Now, it really is a cheat code. Like, the seeing the different reality, like, you're cucking the YouTube videos, because all the YouTube videos want to be, what if Krillin and Goku went to fight Raditz and Piccolo said, fuck you guys? And then you're like, oh my god, and then this would happen, and then androids would show up, and then what the fuck's going on? And we're making our what if videos on the fucking thingy, and it's sick. Yeah. But then you just do it in your actual narrative, and it makes it even cooler. And then you can do things where, like, the same sort of archetypes end up becoming the same thing. Like, we're kind of doing that with Evangelion over and over, where it's like, well, there's an essence that is Shinji, and in all of them, he would be Shinji, and Asuka would be Asuka in all of them, and then they would end up having these types of interactions because they're just inevitable with these two personalities or whatever. And it's interesting. what was I? There was another example. Oh, Game of Thrones is kind of like that, where it's like, well, Bran's doing a million different things or some shit. Now, this is just book stuff, Leary. You know, you wouldn't understand. You got such a little brain. We'll talk about that in a few hours. We're recording House of the Dragon after this chat. Oh my god, that's what we're hinting to. You better go over to the much more professional, better secondary ENT channel. Leave the shit ordinary Yari one behind. Now, oh my god, Leary, we should put a House of the Dragon on your channel. We'll get 1,000 views. Anyway. We got 1,000 views on my channel a few times, Leary, and now you're going to be making thumbnails for it. So, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It's going to be great.
That's pressure. That's pressure, audience. He hadn't agreed to do that yet, but now he can't say no because it's in front of you guys. Anyway, I'm chilling, Leary. I'm a genius, a business mogul. I'm thinking up alternate realities of Mushoku Tensei, and I'm predicting Elaine.
Yep.
Well,
wouldn't that
Jarkey
be
Bacon back?
Fantastic. Good theories. It'd be fun to see an alternate, like, you know, what if? That'd be fun.
Who did it, EliteAri? So let's just, because I'm on this train of thought, EliteAri. Obviously, this is the coolest thing ever because it's also all meta shit. So we got Orsted here. Orsted didn't do it. He was mad about it. But he's some sort of clairvoyant. He didn't make Rudius an isekai man. Now, but he's some sort of clairvoyant. I've done this timeline 50,000 times and I always lose. And actually, I'm the good guy. And we're with this all coming, EliteAri. We understand. We're not teasing seeing his outfit all the time because he's a bad guy. He didn't help Nana Hoshi because he's a bad guy, EliteAri. He's obviously the goodest boy.
Okay.
I'm taking a drink. Shut up. Now, you better not be laughing in some he's going to kill everybody fashion. He's not going to kill Eris, you idiot. He already tried. Now, I'm drinking, EliteAri. Pause.
True. Remember he deflected Eris by grabbing her sword and shoving her against the wall till she started bleeding? Crazy.
I remember her bleeding against the wall. I don't remember any of the action with Eris. I remember Rujid going crazy, but then getting fucked up real quick, and then Rudy he did that thingy that I always remember, EliteAri, where he fucks up his magic. What's that called?
Disturbed magic.
Disturbed. That's a pretty cool word. Now, Mushoku Tensei's lame, EliteAri. Don't get it twisted. Now,
you just seem to like the fights, right? Is what I'm hearing. The 3 best parts are all fight related.
They're slightly, well, first of all, that fight was lame, all right? Nobody cares about no fight, no snow. We're talking about the meta narrative aspect. Now, nobody was going to die in that fight. Do you think I'm an idiot? Anyway, we need tension, EliteAri. Death is what makes things good. Now, what was I talking about, EliteAri? Oh, we're speculating here. So Orsted is some sort of dragon god or something you're always saying? Or he's just a dragon king? What is he again?
He is referred to as the dragon god,
Oh my god, he's a god. And he hates the man god,
great powers. Perhaps,
Second in the 7 great powers. Now, the man god, nobody knows about this prick. Now, Rudy actually asked somebody about him, right? At some point, and that was really cool. Was it Nana Hoshi?
He pointed it out to Orsted.
He brought it up to Orsted, and that was the coolest thing that's ever happened in my life. That was so cool, Leary. I'm going to watch the episode again after this.
He's also brought up the man god to Rudyard, who's like, oh, wow, I can't believe the 7 great gods of old or whatever. And it's like, well, what is this? And he like talked a little bit about like it being interesting that someone called the man god is like might exist. So it has.
So is the man god one of the 7 great dickheads? I don't think he is, right? He's like super mysterious.
So of the 7 great powers,
or am I not supposed to know yet?
No, we know all the 7 great powers, or we know the names of them. Yeah, the man god is not on that list.
Okay, so he's a mysterious, like, so this man god, he knows about the thingy, he knows about the real world, he knows what's gonna happen, because he's always telling him that he has options of what could happen and stuff, and he should fuck a beast girl or whatever. Now, and then we've got,
he's also,
and he's,
I don't know if you remember this, I think it's like an anime thing as well, I don't think it's just in the light novel, but initially,
well, I want to know anyway.
Initially, he, Rudy was going about his life, and, he didn't have an eye of foresight the whole time, right? He just had like his normal vision. And then he followed the man god's advice. Kishirika gave him a eye of foresight, which shows him like the future a little bit. And then in the next meeting, I'm pretty sure the man god uses Rudy's eye of foresight to show him Aisha in the future, like to show him where Aisha's going to be in the situation that he finds himself in.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, it's kind of interesting where it's like, oh, did the man god like make him get the eye of foresight so we can show him here, or was it just like a coincidence? Or like that was kind of an interesting, it just reminded me because you said like, oh, showing the future or whatever. I was like, that's interesting. Anyway, go ahead.
Now, my big prediction, EliteAri, as you recall, is that the man god's obviously a bad guy come the end, or maybe he's not, just like maybe Paul's going to die, but either way I'm going to claim it. So because we know him, but then he doesn't like Orsted, but he's also a wacky funny guy, but then one time he's going to get really serious or something. That also happened in Naruto. Shout out Obito. Now So they don't like each other, EliteAri. Now, Orsted's just a puny little 7 god. He exists in the mortal realm. Now, this man god, he's in the sky or something, and he doesn't have a face, and he looks very god-like, EliteAri. But, you know, he seems to imply that, doesn't he say directly that he didn't isekai him?
So in their initial meeting after Turning Point 1, or I guess during Turning Point 1, the man god says that, or Rudy asks him, did you reincarnate me or something? And the man god's like, no, that's more of a domain of the wicked dragon god or something, reincarnation. So
on a wicked dragon god. So that's who we're supposed to think did it or something.
Well, that's what the man god told us. That he didn't necessarily say, oh, the wicked dragon god did this. He's like, oh, that's more of the domain of the wicked dragon god. Something like that, I think.
Because I feel like there has to be an explanation for that. If there's not, I'm a beat up Mushoku Tensei where it stands. And you know I can, EliteAri. Now,
I believe you.
I guess they don't have to explain it, but they probably will. Now, we've also got Scary Man in the palace or something who's talking to the one dude we still haven't seen after Turning Point 1 happened 25 years ago.
True. We're talking about the armored dragon king Perugius and one of his familiars, Almanfi. That is correct.
Now, I thought we didn't know that was Perugius in the sky, but you just spoiled it.
No, we did know that was Perugius. You're probably thinking of Laplace, who's the demon, the demon god who is sealed away.
Yes, of course. Perugius is a good guy, and Laplace is the bad guy.
Yes. Indeed.
Now, maybe Laplace did it because he's like Laplace reincarnated because he's just got so much mana. Because Laplace was also an isekai guy. I remember predicting that at some point, EliteAri. I'm a genius. I'm trying to. This is where we're at. I'm just collecting my pieces that I'm supposed to know about EliteAri. Now, my prediction is we probably don't know who did it yet. And how many gods do we got? Do we have a little god of creation here? Is it a little tech man in Japan because this is all a video game? Now that would be crazy. Okay, I'm just getting my bearings in order. You know how I'm always like, maybe I should make theory content, EliteAri. Maybe I should just do Mushoku Tensei. But if I start Googling stuff, you know, I'll get...
That's the problem. There's answers. Yeah, maybe not Mushoku Tensei.
There's answers, he said, chat. I'm going to remember that.
Well, I mean, there's a whole light novel. True.
Turning Point 7, we'll get the... well, remember I was speculating that they might not have to answer it, EliteAri, but then you just said... Anyway, that was a callback to that. Thank you for paying attention.
Yep.
Okay, EliteAri, Turning Point 7. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, fantastic. All right, back to the recap. Anything else?
Sylphie is also an isekai, remember that?
I do remember that. Okay, so
Paul,
they left the first fight. Paul's a bit like, oh my god, I'm unsettled, blah, blah, blah. He's arguing with Rudy. I like this interaction because it's a very Paul thing to do, where Paul doesn't really care about... It's hard to... How do I even describe this? I should have probably thought about this before, but when he says that, like, he's getting angry at Rudy, he's not angry at Rudy because... he's saying insensitive things, or he's ruining his hope that like Zenith is alive or anything. He's angry at Rudy because Rudy doesn't care about Zenith as much as he does. That's what's angering Paul here, which I think is really interesting. Well, especially the way he phrases it. The way
he should.
Yeah, because he says like, Paul's basically like, oh, how can you be so calm? And he's getting angry, and Rudy's like, what would losing my temper solve? And in that moment, like you would expect that Paul would be like, oh, I understand, or he'd be like, that's dumb.
No, that's infuriating, you fucking moron. That's not what this is about.
But then he says that, that's not the point, which I think is an interesting thing. And he doesn't elaborate further on that. He just says, like, that's not the point. That's, like, Paul's response to that, which is, like, he doesn't care about...
It shouldn't be a choice.
He doesn't care about being rational here. Yeah, exactly. He's mad that Rudy isn't angry, and that's it. He doesn't care about actually how that's going to help or anything. He's just angry that Rudy doesn't care, which is cool. Yeah. And then he has that thing you were talking about where Rudy's reflecting on maybe he actually is too calm. Zenith to him is just someone he happened to live with, and he hasn't seen her in 10 years, and why should he care about her? And yeah, interesting.
True, we hate mums here.
That is something Kyle does say a lot. That is true.
No, EliteAri says that a lot.
They're fighting. There's cool art and stuff. I think the art is probably the coolest in this little exchange here. Not when they're fighting, I guess, but seeing everyone else's expressions and stuff. It's really cool here. So Geese intervenes and tells them to save family squabbles for later, which is a reference to Family Squabble, the famous fight episode last season. So crazy.
Nah, that's fake. There's no titles. There's one shot where I think it is in this where this part where Paul's like grabbing Rudy or something, and Alana Lies is behind him. And like she shows up and puts her hand on his shoulder or something, and that looked really good for some reason. Is that one of the things you were just talking about?
So that was during the first fight where Alana slaps him in the face, or like puts it on his shoulder. I think it's like it's both. Like he slaps her and puts it on his shoulder. I think
it looked like key art or something. It looked like it was like a poster or something.
Yeah, some art looks very detailed in this episode, like where they're holding on certain scenes to make it, because they're obviously important scenes, so they're like making them look good, you know. I love it. There's a lot of good stuff.
Oh my god, the fucking dragon's got Tally Man by the foot of EliteAri. He's got him.
Yeah, and he could have died, but he didn't.
He's fucking dead, bro.
Yep.
And there's Paul. He just cut his fucking head off. Anyway, continue.
God, Paul was so cool. We're getting to the fight, right? We haven't got there yet. We can talk about all the little things like this. So we get an interesting dynamic where, and I guess it's kind of what I mentioned before. You have Paul and Rudy, who are, you know, family, so it's a bit different. Then you have Paul's party, who clearly are familiar with scenes like this, like they've seen Paul in these moments, and they kind of know how to respond, and they're kind of like, they're not really saying much, they're looking at Paul, and they're like, yeah, we understand, this is how Paul is. Then you've got Roxy in this situation, who isn't part of their party, doesn't really understand what's going on, and you get like a brief shot of her where she's like looking around, she doesn't know what to do, and like, this is cool, this is a cute little, you know, you don't need to have this kind of reaction of hers, you could just make her blend in with everyone else, but no, she's a bit out of water here. Like you got the family, you got the party, and then you got Roxy, who's kind of, you know, a bit of an outsider.
Who's gonna be family soon, EliteAri?
Yeah,
now,
we'll see.
I just saw the coolest bit of action I've ever seen in my fucking life, but I'm gonna wait for you to bring it up, EliteAri.
You better write it down. I
got paused on the front.
All right, excellent. Anyway, we're getting there, okay? So, well, I mean, we got a little bit to talk about because this is all important stuff here. So, firstly, they exchange the information that you were talking about. So Roxy says that she might be able to help with Zenith's crystallization, and Alina says that she knew of someone who was in a similar situation and she's alive, so Zenith should be alive too.
Yeah, Annie Leonhardt, bro. This is all Attack on Titan.
Very true, yes. But that was, you know, I can say that. Yeah, that was voluntary. You know, this, I don't think it's probably not voluntary. Anyway.
Maybe she was in love with the dragon, and she cheated on Paul with the hydra leader. That
would be something, wouldn't it? Geese says that he's never heard of a hydra with scales before, and Roxy says it's probably a manatite hydra, a devil dragon covered in scales that absorbs mana. Magic will only work at point blank range. Crazy. Oh, I didn't mention this, but the high pitch like sound that it makes whenever it hits the dragon, like with the magic, and it's like, I don't know how to do it, but it was really cool. I just want to say, yeah, the sound design in the show is always been very good, and this is one of those moments, because it was, believe it or not, I don't even know, maybe I talked about this in my like predictions video, I don't remember if I did for this season, but God, yeah, I was looking forward. I was like, how are they going to adapt this sound? Because they do mention it, where Rudy's like this unsettling, like sound that like I feel like I'm missing something, and it makes it be portrayed as like a very interesting sound of like what's going on here. So I think they did that well. Anyway, Rudy says that he's
Devil Dragon's the coolest name of all time, EliteAri.
Sure, it is a Devil Dragon. Oh my God, do you think we'll see any more of these? That'd be crazy. Probably.
Do you see that little shit he's just did, chat? That's annoying.
Probably not, but I mean, you know, it'd be interesting. Anyway,
probably not.
Yeah. Rudy says he's heard that Hydra heads don't grow back if you sear the neck with fire, and he's basing this on the story of Hercules. Crazy.
The real world, EliteAri. This world is created out of the real world influence somehow. What?
Mm-hmm. Trying to think. What can you think of any? I know this happens a few times where Rudy like uses his knowledge of the past.
Another time it's happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because it happened pretty recently. I think.
It's something to do with Nanahoshi's well, no, then Nanahoshi would just be able to figure it out. It was something in the magical university of magic, you know?
Yeah.
That place.
I'm sure there's something we can... The go-to example, you know, is always, to me, the cumulonimbus thing. You know, he makes the clouds move on their own, uses magic. It's great, because he understands how the weather works in our world. It's great. Anyway. All right. Now we got the interesting stuff, Kyle, okay? So Paul, he gives a final speech thanking everyone who's helped him out, and after 6 years of fighting, it all ends here is basically what he's saying. Either they save Zenith or Paul's family is all accounted for, and he asks everyone for help, And then we get the cute scene where they're all like basically saying, of course, in their own way. So EliteAri says that it isn't like him to act so humble. I think that's all she says. She doesn't say yes or no or anything. Talahand says, what fool would come all this way not to pitch in?
There was a point, EliteAri, where I thought he was like, oh, me and Rudy will just fight it. And I was like, oh, that could be cool.
Yeah.
But then they all had this, and that was like a payoff to that, where I was like, oh, they're going to fight with him, so...
Yep. They're all old, good friends with Paul here. So, yep, Talahand, what fool would come all this way not to pitch in? Geese tells Paul that his Shaw mellowed out. And Roxy says, let's win. If we win this fight, our journey will have been worth it. Crazy. I like this, giving each character their own little bit.
Oh my god, is it worth it, EliteAri? Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Is it something we'll regret, or is it going to be worth it in the end? We'll see. So... Paul cries...
Wait, I had another point, EliteAri. Hold on, sorry. Before Roxy, there was a little Talahand, and then he said something, and then I forgot it, EliteAri. I'm giving myself about 10 more seconds
Talahand, Geese, Roxy.
Roxy.
What fool would come all this way not to pitch in?
Yeah, fools. Something about them fighting.
He sure has mellowed out over the years.
Oh, EliteAri, I wasn't... Oh my god, I actually got it. I was... not a thought in my little brain that he was going to die here. I was like, oh yeah, let's just go on and fight the dragon, obviously. We can just beat it up.
Excellent. I'm glad.
I think I thought it at the beginning of the episode and I just forgot. And then, because obviously there's like a moment where he like helps Rudy dodge and then he does it a second time.
Yeah, right,
but
right
we
after.
don't like, yeah, but then we don't like see him for a little while. And what I thought is like, I thought it was going to be the Dobby scene, literally, and I didn't realize I was thinking about the Dobby scene until this moment, where it's like, oh, we see the other characters and everybody's okay, and then you hear like murmuring or something, and then I thought he was going to be like bleeding everywhere, but Rudy would be like, oh, I have to do the magic, and then he was going to heal him. What?
Yep.
But it was cool because he was already dead, so there was no moment where it was like, oh, he can heal him, he can heal him.
Yeah, they make it very clear that there's no coming back from this. Yeah. Anyway, we're not up to that yet, Kyle, all right? But I'm glad to hear it. So, this is the scene that, I have a video on, which you can actually watch the video now. I don't know, have you seen it yet already? Did you watch it?
No, okay, I don't do things without asking permission.
I'm glad, because I wanted to get your interpretation of things before you watch my video. It's not a very good video, but, some people might find joy in it. So, Paul cries.
None of yours are,
I like my Mushoku Tensei nostalgic video, whatever, the poem one. That's the only good one I've ever made. All the other ones are bad.
Oh, so I'll watch that one then.
It's the only one that spoils literally everything in the light novel, so don't watch that.
What about the epilogue one that I watched?
That just spoils the ending. The rest is... all right. Paul cries, composes himself, and then
that epilogue was about somebody else getting... Well, I guess if Bacon ever watches this, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, no spoilers, all right? All right. This is the scene, Kyle. So, Paul... Everyone says the nice things to him. They're like, yeah, whatever. Who would show up and not fight? Roxy's like, we're gonna win, whatever. And Paul like puts his hands on his face and is like crying. I was like, oh my god, Paul's like actually showing emotion here. And then he composes himself again and he talks to Rudy. And he's praising Rudy. He's saying, you're a son I can count on. He's saying that, I'm a bit of a failure. I can't keep as cool of a head as you. I can't think of plans as well as you. I'm basically an idiot who just knows how to charge straight in. I'm a bad dad. I can't set an example for my son. So a lot of self-disparaging talk here. And then he tells Rudy that he wants to tell him something that a parent never should. And he says, save your mother, even if it kills you. And then Rudy accepts and Paul smiles. So... What did you think? I mean, I'm assuming when you heard this, you were like, oh my god, that's like the video Ari made or something, or did you have any other...
Yeah, I knew it was the line.
Yeah, what do you think about this line? Obviously, I made a whole video on it. I think this is one of the best lines in Mushoku Tensei. But what did you think about this?
Well, personally, I didn't think much of it.
That's an interesting reaction. I'm glad to see.
It is a kind of cool line, like, yeah, you gotta save your mommy. Like, I should protect you as my kid, but I'm prioritizing that. But then I was just like, fathers say this about to their sons in movies all the time, where it's like, protect your mother and your sister. I'm going to die. But I didn't figure out that he was going to die yet.
Well, that's not what is. I mean, the difference is that he's not saying I'm going to die. He's not saying we'll save your mother even if it kills me. He's saying save your mother even if it kills you. Like, we need to save your mom. You can die, Rudy, okay? I know I shouldn't say this. You're my son. You're someone I should be looking after. But no, we're going to save her even if it kills both of us, all right? I think that's the interesting element here, because I mean the whole point of my video that I made is to talk about how this is. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here, but the main appeal of this line is that it's just like the definition of Paul Greyrat, where he is not the stereotypical good person. This is a bad line to say. This isn't like he shouldn't be seeing his son as his equal. He shouldn't be seeing him as someone like that he can sacrifice to kind of achieve his own end. But he is doing that. He's basically in this moment, there's two aspects to it. One is that he is going to redeem himself and prove that he isn't a failure, and he's going to save Zenith no matter what, even at the cost of Rudy. And at the same time, he's kind of showing that he sees Rudy as an equal, and his love for him is like unparalleled. Like he just basically sees him as someone who's going to do whatever he needs to help him. Like he sees him as an equal, basically. I think those two elements are really interesting. Saying something bad with a good message in a bad way is a very Paul kind of thing to do. And I think it summarizes his character. You could say the single line that defines Paul Greyrat is kind of this line here. So yeah.
Oh my god, that's like the title or something. I think it is an interesting admission. I feel like, and it's interesting also for Rudy to hear because of the dissonance of like, is this even his mother? Because if this was a normal story or a normal situation, it would be like, well, yeah, the 18-year-old kid is always gonna like try and risk himself to save his mother. There is an added layer of depth, but obviously the part you're hitting on is that it's like an admission from Paul, like it is representative, which I guess, I don't know, I see it, I guess, whatever.
I guess I won't say too much beyond this because obviously, we're going to reflect on Paul's death. So there is more to say about this, but I'm just going to leave it for later, basically. Yeah, interesting. I was excited to see this line. I was on the edge of my seat, Kyle, because in the trailer, they actually don't phrase it this way. They say something slightly different, which it does not hit the same at all. I mean, it does slightly, but it's like not the exact same. So I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh my god, are they going to do the subtitles? Going to say the same thing that I wanted to say? Are the people at Crunchyroll doing this subtitling? Are they going to understand the importance of this line, or are they going to mess it up? And they did well, so good job, whoever does. I assume it's like Crunchyroll that does this, but maybe it's someone else. Good job. Anyway.
I bet in the trailer it was like, save your mother at whatever the cost, or something.
I think it was more along the lines of like Paul saying that we'll save her even if it kills us. It was more of like a mutual kind of thing, which reinforces him seeing Rudy as an equal, but it kind of makes it feel less selfish, whereas this one feels a lot more selfish, like, which I like this portrayal more. Now, for all I know, they could just be saying the same thing in Japanese and the subtitles are just different, but I prefer this adaptation of the subtitles. Okay, so thank you.
I hate Japanese.
That's terrible, Kyle. How can you say that? They fight the Hydra, Kyle. All right, big fight. So we have a long list of, not long list, we have a little list here of things. So basically,
I'm gonna scream when you get to the moment, okay?
Paul does a bunch of really cool stuff. So it's just like chopping heads off. He's the only one who can really chop the heads off because, he's the strongest. Like we said, last episode, he's actually really strong.
He's a king size saint
not at all.
Swords.
He's advanced in all three sword styles. Probably if you add them all together, he might be like a saint in like a particular overall like fighting style. He's very good, basically. So he's the only one who can chop this stuff off.
So since Rujid is like emperor or something, Alito was saying last time. I don't know. I don't have it confirmed. He would just fuck up this dragon real quick.
I think that even Rujid would probably struggle with this dragon. I bet maybe not. I don't know. My intuition would be that like this would be probably the strongest creature that we've seen in Mushoku Tensei. It would probably be up there with like the red dragons that we saw that one time where we fought Orsted, where Rujid was talking about how like maybe like a king level person would be able to take out a dragon. But I mean, not a king, sorry, a god level person would be able to take out a single dragon. But even the highest of this, or the lower of the 7 great powers, would struggle if a whole herd like attacked them, basically. So I think maybe like an upper emperor to like lower god would be able to take out like a single one of these. Like,
what about
that's
that
my
one
impression.
thing that ate that chicken dude? What about that?
The one thing that ate the chicken dude. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh,
the snake thing. No, that's like, I mean, Rudy Eris took that out. Yeah, I don't think that's nowhere near as strong as this.
What about the dog?
Yeah. The dog was, I mean, that's technically the dog is the sacred beast, so we haven't really seen how strong that thing is.
His secret powers, I understand. So EliteAri, Orsted, he's the dragon god or whatever. Does he just whistle and they do whatever he wants or something?
The one interaction we've seen between before turning point 1.
He did do something to a dragon in turning point 1. I remember now, EliteAri.
Yeah, the dragon like perched in front of him, shot flames at him, And then sorry, not Rudius, Orsted stared at him and the dragon flew away. So, I don't know, something going on there, I guess. But...
Yeah, he's got Hacky EliteAri. That's from One Piece, where you look at a scary monster and they run away because you're just so strong.
Yep. No, that's from House of the Dragon.
Season 1. You read chapter 1.
I remember this.
Yeah, it was probably in the live action show too, where Shanks looks at the sea god or the sea king. They're not gods, EliteAri, they're kings. Just like Mushoku Tensei, those are different things.
No, I was making an epic reference to when Daemon Targaryen looked at the horse and it fell over, which Mill the Killer said for something about One Piece, Hucky, whatever. I was like, yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, anyway. Paul, chopping off heads, crazy. And then I think the first one he ever does is like he charges in, he gets eaten, like it eats him, and then he chops him from the inside. I was like, wow, I wonder if people just think the Paul is dead here. Yeah, I think that's the first one he does. I think, unless I'm like mistaking it, but crazy. Then EliteAri is basically...
does that too, by the way. To a giant snake. Mushoku Tensei saw that too.
Yep, this is a hydra. Is there a hydra in Naruto?
Is there a hydra EliteAri? Now that's a fantastic question. Is there even a dragon in Naruto?
There's like
Keep
dinosaurs.
Speaking
right?
of EliteAri, I'll reflect.
All right, so EliteAri is basically providing a lot of cover here. I don't think they explicitly say this, but she's basically the tank of the party, I think. She has the shield, she's
got a shield and she knocks one of the heads out of the way one time.
Yep, it was pretty sick. And she does the coolest thing in this fight, Kyle, which is that it's like, I think it like...
There ain't no dragons in Naruto. Continue, EliteAri.
The coolest thing in this fight, I mean, there's so many cool things, but, Paul chops off a head, it regrows, and they're like, oh my god, it regrows. And then EliteAri jumps in, stabs it, uses an ice spell on it, and freezes the tip of it. And I was like, man, this is so cool. Because she can use magic too. Isn't that crazy? She's going to the University of Magic. Oh my god. That was sick. Then...
Well, I didn't think it was because she went to the University of Magic. I was just like, oh yeah, they could all do that, I think.
They can all do that. I just thought I'd point it out because, maybe she's been getting better at magic because she's at the university.
Taliban does something magical in the fight. I forget what it was, though.
Yeah, he does a stone pillar that he tries to crush the dragon with.
He does.
Yeah, which is cool. The interesting thing about Talahand is that, and I'm only saying this because I actually saw the author of Mushoku Tensei tweet this out the other day, but Talahand is kind of like a very diverse in battle kind of person where he can do magic, but he's also quite physically strong, and this is probably the coolest moment in the fight, which is that the dragon basically whips its tail or head or something, and it's about to kill Roxy, and then Talahand steps in and blocks it with his staff or something, and it's like, wow, this is so cool. Talahand's so strong. I like that. That was really cool.
I vaguely remember said thing.
I think that's pretty important. We'll get to that though. So Roxy is basically, she's going around focusing on healing people when they get injured, which I think is very important here. She heals Talahand when he gets flung from the dragon.
He falls out the sky, bro.
It was great. The Hydra, this is really cool. The Hydra did the charge up attack, and everyone just gets behind Rudy, and we get this really cute shot of Roxy grabbing the waist, and it's like, you don't have to have that shot there, but it's there. It's really cool.
Because there's sexing, bro.
Yeah, maybe. You've got I think the coolest part of this is, it is cool to see how strong Rudy is, and anyone else in this situation would not be able to do what he's doing here. They'd probably run out of mana beforehand. But it's just, this really small shot where it's the water is coming out of the stuff, and it's or not coming out of it, but it's right in front of it, and it's it really portrays the magnitude of the force of the water, I guess. I don't know how to say it. And also the struggle of it feels like you could probably go out at any moment here. Whatever they did,
it was a beam struggle, EliteAri.
It was a beam. It was a beam struggle, but it was done very well because usually in a beam struggle you have a wider shot where you're seeing the whole beam. This one just focusing on the one beam that is coming out of the staff for quite a while, and I like that. It was great. Great shot.
It was the father-son Kamehameha when it's all coming down and it's all around him, but he's just a little one, and then eventually he's gonna do it, EliteAri.
Yeah, we love it. Another element of this fight is that I don't know how to describe this other than saying that they used Orsted's music during the fight, which was really cool. Because I'm pretty sure, maybe I've missed it, maybe they used it somewhere else. Bro. Yeah, but during Turning Point 2, one of the big appeals of that fight, one of the things that just elevates it to be the best episode of the series, is that the score behind the fight is matching the emotions and the actual what's going on in the fight for Turning Point 2. And I don't think we ever hear that. We hear part of the score again when we get the Nanahoshi reveal that she was the person with Orsted. But we don't really get any of that music from that fight anywhere else, I don't think, in the show. However, now in this climactic fight, where it does, again, feel like a similar thing of, like, we could die here. Like, this is fighting, like, we're fighting a strong enemy here.
Nobody was going to die with Orsted, stupid, but go ahead.
That's true. We bring back, you know, the Orsted battle music. I liked it a lot. It was great.
They should have used it in the dogfight. Now, also, EliteAri, I didn't remember anything about any music, so shut up.
That's okay. Now, Paul I might have missed the thing you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about. Paul calls Rudy.
You did, because if you're going in order, you missed it, EliteAri.
Yeah, go ahead.
The coolest thing in Mushoku Tensei history, because I was just scrolling through, I'm like, did this motherfucker skip it? And then I skipped 2 minutes ahead, and there's doing the beam struggle. So EliteAri, right? They're getting this dragon, right? And they're burning its little fleshes, right? So this fucking genius level dragon goes to bite one of the burnt things off, so he can open up a new wound that'll heal EliteAri. This is the coolest moment in the history of anime.
Yep, it is. It's a great, what a genius. Yeah. My goodness.
He's learning on the job. I wanted him to win at this point, EliteAri. Oh, he was so cool. That was, I took a seat, EliteAri. I took a seat. I was standing. No, I wasn't. I should have did the other way around where I stood up, but, you know, I described my fake reality wrong.
Yeah.
I clapped.
I'm glad. That is true.
They thwarted him somehow. I can't remember, but that was sick. That was
I think that was the scene where EliteAri steps in and freezes the head of it. So it's like,
maybe that makes sense.
Yep, it was sick. We love it. Okay. So Paul calls Rudy an idiot for just standing there, because Rudy notices, oh my god, there's only one head left, and he like pushes Rudy out of the way. And then he does it immediately again, because Rudy loses focus because Roxy is almost about to die. So if you remember that shot where I was saying that Roxy is about to get hit, and then Talahan steps in and deflects it with the shield, or not the shield, sorry, the staff, whatever. That's what distracted Rudy. As far as I understand, when I'm looking at it, this is also, I don't necessarily remember if this was pointed out in this chapter of the light novel, but he like looks to the left where Roxy was, and then that's when Paul has to step in and kind of like save Rudy, and gets hit, and obviously that's where Paul dies. So it's kind of like, oh wow, I guess this is a little bit of like Rudy's fault here. This is a bit, oh my god, crazy. But
he's
gonna
feel so guilty about it. He's gonna be depressed, just like the beginning of season 2, and that was boring. Can't wait.
Yeah, maybe it could be like volume 7, the best volume, you know.
But he's gonna be depressed into them titties, bro.
I guess we'll see. All right. Anyway,
I just checked it, EliteAri, and you were correct on your assumption about what distracted him the second time.
Thank you. I'm glad. You know, I'm a genius. So I'm paying attention to these details. Anyway, I was on the edge of my seat because the first time that he pushes Rudy out of the way, I was like, oh my god, this is it. This is the moment where Paul dies. And then it was like a fake out. I was like, oh
you're
wow.
Stupid.
Yeah, I guess it's not that one. And then they do it again. Crazy. Anyway, so after the dust...
Oh my god, I just realized how Rudy's fucking hand got ripped off. That was cool.
Yes, true. So, yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Yeah, so Rudy, after the dust cloud settles, after Paul pushes him out of the way, he looks up, and the head of the dragon, or head of the hydra, is right in front of him. And he sticks his arm into the eye, and it like shoots him into the air and rips his arm off. And then Roxy is the one who has to do the last hit to finish the final head. So true, yeah. I was like,
the dragon, his arm go off,
the dragon, I guess, blinks. And it's probably really hot inside there or something because it's the dragon head, and it like burns and rips his arm off, and it's like crazy. So that was really cool.
And he didn't heal it all the way later, so I don't know if Rudius is going to want to have one hand forever now.
Yeah,
or
he said that healing magic couldn't recover it.
Well,
so.
that healing magic.
Sure,
I bet he's going to get a mechanical arm, bro. This is Luke Skywalker, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Yeah. Crazy. Lost an arm. I don't think anyone predicted this at any point. Maybe you did. I don't know.
Oh, so he is going to lose an arm, EliteAri. Way to spoil it.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Okay, so Rudy tries to heal his arm.
There's no way they even got arm regrow and shit if they got it in Harry Potter in this stupid series. Why aren't they flying? Figure it out, EliteAri. Jesus Christ.
Very true. So Rudy tries to heal his arm, but it just stops his stump from bleeding. And he looks for Paul and he says, I owe you one, Dad. But turns out everyone is looking shocked and Paul is dead. His upper half is smeared down a rock. So I like this guy.
Got cut in half, bro.
It was really sick. There is no ambiguity here. There is no coming back from this. Paul is split in half, his upper half. Also, this is portrayed slightly differently from the light novel, and I think slightly better than the light novel. Basically,
Coward.
yeah, in the light
Fell
novel,
out.
it's my understanding, because believe it or not, I read the entirety of this volume for my videos. I did read this a few weeks ago. My memory is that, like, they describe it as Paul just basically being slumped on the ground. Like, there's no rock, there's no rubble or anything. And I think it's like Rudy sees that his upper body is here and then sees the lower body is there. It's like, what's happening? I like the way they portrayed it here. You know, smeared on the rock. You don't even see his lower half. It's very gruesome. No censorship. I was also very worried that they're going to censor it, but they didn't. So well done. And then he does the coolest thing. You know, this is what makes anime so great, when you can, you know, visually show things that weren't described in the novel, which is that he smiles and blood drips into his eye and then he dies. So sick. There's the visual of him just like the blood coming out of his mouth and then falling into his eye is really sick. So I don't know who to praise.
It's weird
for
how
that.
it goes
like,
in his eye, bro. It's a little weird, you know.
It's great. I love it. Now, this would be a great point. I'd be like, oh, thank you for the director or the storyboarder, but I don't know who to thank here. Is it the storyboarder or the director, Kyle? You tell me. Who would be responsible for a decision like this? Would it be the writer?
I think you should just thank me. You know?
Thank you, Kyle.
I'm pretty sure I did this, yes.
I guess there is also...
Everybody in the comments, I want to thank you for this episode.
I'm sure they're all going to be very happy that you like this episode, Kyle, right?
No.
Or they're going to hate me for saying it wasn't the best episode of the season.
True, finally.
Yeah, maybe. I was going to say...
cut in half thing, EliteAri, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little, you know, EliteAri grief, you know, sometimes it's sad. You find out somebody's dead and you sort of go into this, like, this isn't real mindset, disbelief mindset for a little while. It takes a few days for it to sink in.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about this. Now, EliteAri, believe it or not, nobody's ever been cut in half in front of me or died in any gruesome ways. In fact, I've never even seen the dead body unless it's in the little casket thing at the funeral. EliteAri never found nobody dead, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
One day it'll happen, EliteAri. Watch out. It's going to be your body. When we're 70 and we're living together, EliteAri, disease, and I'm going to find your body in your shitty room because we never made it, EliteAri. We're in a poor room somewhere in Sydney, EliteAri, because obviously it's the second most affordable thingy. What a callback. Audience doesn't understand that. Kill yourself. Now, what was I saying? Oh, there's always this in fiction, you know, these fucking, sometimes deaths are like gruesome and stuff, and it adds into the disbelief thing of like, I imagine if you see like, fucking his lower half is over there. No, we didn't see the lower half for EliteAri, shut up. And his upper half is over there, and it's like, especially like for the first like 3 seconds you see it, you got to be like, oh, I can just put them back together or something, like innately intuitive that isn't intuitive, isn't true. There's something about EliteAri, you know, it's pretty good. I'm trying to think of another example, but obviously I can't because I'm stupid. But it happens in things, you know, and sometimes it's so like gruesome and over the top where it doesn't seem real either.
I guess I don't know if this is what you're saying, but to me it's like Rudy sees Paul and he's like, oh, it's Paul, and it takes him to a moment to be like, his lower half is like he's not there. That's not like, Paul was here a moment ago and now he's dead. Like, it's just like a very shocking sudden thing.
Yeah, it is like the moment, like, he was just here, now he's gone type thing. Yeah. And it's like, it takes you a little while to be like, oh, he'll just come. I know there's always like a dissonance there where it's like, you forget that like death is a concept. And then it comes back and it's like, oh. And then you still like, I don't know. It's something like that. You know.
Let me see. Let's see if I can find the light novel bit where they describe it. Let's see if you like this differently.
Oh my god, he's got it written down.
No, I actually don't have it written down, so I'm trying to find it right now. I'm trying to find it, okay?
Memorize. He's a little nerd.
Paul gave no reply. Father, what am I up to? That's right. Paul had kicked me. You know what? I might not be able to find it. They're healing. Calm down. My left hand was gone, but the hydra had been an incredibly difficult foe. I'd gotten through it with all but my left hand. Put that way, perhaps it was a small price to pay. If Paul hadn't managed to squeeze in there and save me, there was a high likelihood I would have died. You really saved me there, Father. I glanced over my shoulder, searching for him. There was no response. Everyone was quiet. Lionelies just stood there. Talahand was silent. Roxy pursed her lips, and behind them, Geese was pale as a sheet. Paul gave no reply. Father. They were all looking at something, so I followed their gaze to where Paul was, collapsed on the ground. Yes, collapsed, there on his back. But he wasn't just collapsed, he was unconscious. His eyes were vacant, and his lower body was missing. Huh? My brain couldn't process it. What? Oh no, I knew what had happened. That's right, I'd seen it myself. Paul had kicked me out of the way because the spot where I'd stood was exactly where the last head came slamming down. He'd had to kick me as hard as he could to be able to move me. I wasn't a child anymore, so he had to, thrust his lower body forward to blah, blah, blah. He continues from there. So, Interesting. You know, he has that moment of shock. I think the anime adapted that well. Like, if anything, I think the anime probably adapted that better. So well done, anime. We love it. Crazy. Blood in the eye. We love it.
Crazy.
And Zenith's crystal. Naked, bro. True, it cracks. She falls on the ground. She's naked. They're censoring it with, like, I don't know, little bits of the dragon, I guess, to cover up the naked bits. It's great. And that's it for the fight, Kyle. It's over. They saved Zenith, but was it worth it? I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Thank God. I hate action. Let's get out of here.
Yep. You know what? Believe it or not, unironically, that's what I thought. I was like, man, you know, the fight, least interesting part of the episode. The stuff before and after were 10 out of 10. We love it. So they arrive back at the inn. Or this is the next part where they're traveling back and they arrive back. They have a nice, slow, quiet walk out of the labyrinth where no one says anything. And I think for the entirety rest of this episode, we don't get any internal monologue from Rudy. I think he just says one thing, which is like mum or something when Zenith wakes up. So we don't know what Rudy is thinking, I guess, in this moment. Long walk. No one says anything. Then they arrive at the inn, and Shiera and Viera, as well as Lilia, are happy to see Zenith.
But the credits are going to EliteAri. Don't forget about that.
True. So we had an establishing shot of Garrett. The credits start rolling. You have no more dialogue. You just have music that's playing and silent, like, animation of them talking and stuff. We don't know exactly what they're saying. So Lily is happy to see Zenith, and Lily asks where... I'm assuming this is all my assumption. Lily asks where Paul is, and Geese and Alina tell her that he's dead. And then Shiera falls to the floor crying. And I'm like, this is the... You don't have to do that. Another thing where I'm like, small detail they don't have to do. But Shiera is obviously... She was in slavery, and Paul saved her, and I guess...
Yeah, but this wasn't in the anime, EliteAri. It was all fake.
I don't remember. Was it not in... maybe it wasn't in the anime.
Yeah, because you had to explain it all to me, EliteAri.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? This is for all the light novel readers, you know, so good fan service addition to, you know, reference all this stuff in the light novel. I love it. That is probably what got to me the most emotionally, was Shiera crying so much, because it is a very small detail that you don't have to have. I don't know why. The Lilia thing also got to me, but we'll talk about that. The Shiera thing is interesting because she was in slavery. Paul did save her, and she's been with Paul ever since as like a helper and friend. But the interesting thing is that Paul didn't really save her out of the goodness of his heart. He only saved her because he was trying to save Zenith. And that kind of does, it is an interesting portrayal of all the people that Paul saves. He doesn't feel like he's really achieved anything because he's not there to help people. He's only there to save Zenith. And it's just like the byproduct of one of the things that he probably didn't think too much about, which was just saving Shiera in his process of trying to find Zenith, has impacted Shiera so greatly that in now that she's finding out that he's dead, she is greatly affected by it, even though he probably initially wasn't very affected by saving her. That's an interesting element that I think, you know, don't have to have Shiera crying, but you did it, so well done, show. We love it. Then we have the Lilia moment where we get the first dialogue back after the dialogue has been cut off. And she says, "You must be tired. Please take rest and let me see to things." So she's hugging Rudius and saying this. We love Lilia, right, Kyle? Lilia's great.
You know, whatever, you know. She's a little weird, you know.
She's definitely a little weird. But, you know, she's a loving person here. She's looking after Rudy. Cute stuff.
She says, "My lady," and you're like, what are you doing, young lady? What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she kind of probably, you know, feels bad for seducing Paul back in the day, so, you know.
Nah, that was cool.
It was cool, but, you know, she probably feels bad about it. So Rudy lies down on his bed with his bloodied arm, and this is a great, I think this is like a directing thing, maybe it's a storyboard, whoever.
The flame on the thingy turns into the flame on the thingy.
So great. You know, you don't have to focus on Rudy during this scene and his depression. You can just focus on the background elements, and it makes it more emotional. You could even say that a miscellaneous insert shot like this is more impactful. You know, we love it. You know, you could do bird cages, or you could do a candle. Miscellaneous. What are the bird cages then? They're also in the room, right?
Yeah,
but Attack on Titan reference.
It's like a match shot, EliteAri. It's not a miscellaneous insert shot.
It's a match shot because the scene continues into showing the actual flames of Paul's cremation. If you didn't have that continuous shot, I would just say it's an insert shot where you just.
Well, it wasn't really. Well, it's. Come on, it's not really an insert shot because Paul's in. Rudy's in it. Paul's dead, bro. And it's also there was.
I guess you're right. You know what, Kyle? You're right. I acknowledge it.
And also, it wasn't held on long enough to be a cool miscellaneous insert
you're
shot.
Right, you're right, all right. You know, the anime is pretty bad. Yeah, the light novel's better.
True.
Anyway, we cut to Paul's cremation, and Rudy tries to grab a bone, but it crumbles, so there's nothing left of Paul to take back. And we still get no narration from Rudy. Then Rudy and Lilia are by Zenith's bed, and Zenith wakes up, and Rudy looks happy and says, "Mum," and she makes weird noises, and Lilia and Rudy freak out. Next episode, Let's Go Home. That's what it's called. Crazy.
She's gonna get a fairy, bro.
Now that would be something, wouldn't it?
I don't know if EliteAri got it or he's trying to play it off like
I know. You're talking about the fairies from Berserk. Classic reference. I understand.
It's not just fairies, EliteAri. I'm talking about one fairy in particular. Oh, you're thinking we're saving her. I'm just saying she needs a puck.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Remember that time Elaine eats on Puck's head? Well, you thought I was saying fairies because the fairies save Casca.
No, I thought you were saying fairies because there's two fairies. There's the female one and Puck. I don't know what the female...
Ravella doesn't show up for ages after that.
All right, whatever. All right, whatever you say.
Anyway, remember this Mushoku Tensei guy, his new thingy is just a Berserk, parody thingy, so obviously he stole this.
Oh, yes. Kyle is referring to the recent work that the author has been working on, the new light novel series that... Kyle said it's something to do with Berserk. It's like a similar... I don't know what it is. Kyle, you know more.
Well, it's like a far niece, and she's hanging out with Berserk. And by Berserk, I mean Guts.
Mm.
And he's got a fairy companion.
Crazy. You know what? Maybe it is. Maybe this is a reference to it.
That YouTube short sure sold it. Like, this Berserk ripoff is actually pretty cool. And then at the end, he's like, it's the Mushoku Tensei guy. And I was like, what?
Yep. Well, that's it, Kyle.
And so that fight in the snow actually was Guts and Griffith. That's crazy. Except it wasn't.
Oh my god! I did have a note on this actually, which I can't believe that this entire season, the most visually interesting fight was the Paul Luke fight after the wedding. I can't believe it. It's still better than anything in this episode. I mean, sorry, the Rudy Luke fight. Oh my god, Kyle, why would you do this to me?
That one was boring, bro. Luke sucks, and so does Rudy.
Visually, though, it looked really cool. It's probably the best fight this season.
I don't remember it at all. I remember it was fast.
Anyway, my only other...
Half-fast Rudy's gonna come in Roxy next episode.
Crazy. What am I saying? They've done other things. Oh, yeah, I guess they're adapting things interestingly here because they're doing a little bit of stuff out of order, which I like. I'm not going to say what, but, interesting if you're a light novel reader.
You're so open to changing things, EliteAri, you disgust.
Sometimes they do it better. So I'm interested.
No.
That's definitely true. And now I'm interested. I'm a bit concerned about going forward, but the ending of this episode really sold me that they're going to do it well. But a lot of the appeal, obviously, of the stuff that is coming up is going to be, internal narration and stuff and thoughts and understanding what's happening. So I hope that they don't shy away from it and they actually do, portray things well. But I think they will, because if they continue in the line of how they portrayed things at the end of this episode, then I think things are going to be good and it's going to be a great adaptation. Anyway, that's that, Kyle.
So, EliteAri, the next episode is going to be boring because it's going to be Rudy being depressed that he's the reason and then his mother is all fucked up and I'm going to be like, Rudy sucks, this is boring, just, remember like last time. Now, obviously, maybe we get Roxy kissing, so that could save the episode, EliteAri, but that could also be the episode afterwards. So, season's peaked until Roxy takes her clothes off,
Mm-hmm. I should say that one commenter last time did point out that, I said there's 25 episodes this season.
Yes,
turns out episode 0.
That.
Episode 0 is counted,
That's
so
why
it's
I
only
said
24.
2 more episodes.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we're going to have to wait till next season to see Sylphie getting sad.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see what happens.
Because Paul's dead, bro, but also...
Yep, we'll see. I think 2 episodes are probably enough to adapt what they need to adapt to cover Volume 12, so I guess we'll see. I'm excited. Yep, but overall, great episode. A lot of really cool small details that I like a lot. Obviously, Kyle, I was waiting for this. I've waited, like a year and a half, whenever I first read this light novel thing. Exciting stuff. Plenty of exciting things to come. I know a lot of people probably think this is some of their favorite stuff. Like, there probably would be a sizable, maybe like 20% of people or something would be like, yeah, this Paul stuff, it's like this is the highlight of Mushoku Tensei, the best it gets. I think there's plenty of stuff beyond this that's better, but I think this is like... I guess what I'm trying to say is basically that this is a taste of like, how do I even
Peak
describe this?
Mushoku Tensei. Oh my god, get excited, guys.
The peak of Mushoku Tensei season 1 to me would be the stuff at the end with Rudy's character. I think it continues here into the beginning of this season, which is also really good stuff. Then we end with another kind of emotional peak here, which with what's going on with Paul, and maybe again we'll see what happens with Rudy's character. I think this will continue to happen. We'll continue to get very interesting developments in regards to characters, and I'm excited for the future seasons of this show. Basically, like they've adapted this well. I'm glad they're doing the pace they're going. You know, even though it is a bit rushed at times and it bothers me. I think overarching storyline wise, I think they're doing a good job. So exciting. Anything else, Kyle?
Bro, do you think we're gonna get an Eris post-credit scene or something? It'd be cool.
Or maybe she's done. We'll never see her again. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Shut up, EliteAri, you idiot. Now, I think, because I was like, I wonder what she's going to look like, bro. And then I'm like, oh, she cut her hair off, so she's going to look bad, and she's going to be lame. Because short-haired girls, you know, we seen Videl EliteAri, thumbs down.
How...
Now, EliteAri... And shut up, I'm getting to that, EliteAri. How long has passed? She could have grown it back. Soy.
Well, that's not what I was going to say, but okay.
Now, shut up, I'm saying something else before you say your silly nonsense. Then I remember, I'm pretty sure I spoiled myself on what adult Eris looks like on Twitter one time, but I've forgotten it, EliteAri, so that's good.
All right. Well, what I was going to say is that, you know, the last time we saw her, she was with Rudy. And I guess we've seen how different Rudy looks now compared to what he looked like before. So I don't know.
Not that much. He's just a little taller.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see, I guess, what if we ever see Eris again, what she looks like. Anyway.
She's going to have massive tits, bro. It's going to be sick.
I guess we'll have
She's
to
older
see.
Than Rudy too, right? So that I don't have to worry at all because Rudy's like 18.
Yeah, she's like, what? When he turned... What even was
12,
it?
she was 15.
Yeah, something like that. It was like 3 something. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a little bit older, basically. Anyway, Mushoku Tensei. Any final lasting thoughts you want to leave with? Oh, I guess you made your predictions already, but anything else you want to say?
I've never had to piss more in my life, EliteAri. But hold on, pause. Do I have anything to say? Yeah, I'm expecting a bad episode next time, EliteAri. A bunch of Rudy emotion stuff that I don't care about.
Mm-hmm. What a fascinating relationship you have to this show, Kyle. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, thank you for listening, everyone. See you for episode 23 of the season called...
We don't know if Bacon will be back next time, EliteAri.
Yeah, we don't know. He'll probably be back. Anyway, Let's Go Home is the next episode. See you then.
Oh my god, I didn't even check.